Joining me today is Michelle Precourt. She is an accomplished HR consultant in corporate mindfulness, and she's here today to talk about a professional career and also talk about the importance to have corporate mindfulness in a retention strategy that works. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks so much for having me here, Christine. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, so I really love what you do, but I would like to tell the viewers and listeners, why did you decide to pursue a career in human resources?
Well, truth be told, Christine, I was inspired by a good friend of mine. And Val, if you're listening, this story is about you. So this was many years ago, and I knew I wanted to go back to school, but I really wasn't sure what to do. And it's really quite overwhelming for young people, and even folks that go back to school later in life. It's still overwhelming. But at that time, this good friend of mine, Val, she was taking her certificate in human resources through the University of Manitoba. And that's right, friends, I am a prairie girl, true and true. And I thought, you know what? I really like Val. She's still a good friend of mine, 20 some odd years later. And at one point, I reported into Val, and she was a really great leader. And so this inspiration came from her. And I knew that she was taking this course. I asked her some questions, and from there, I decided to enroll. And that's where it all started for me, was learning the foundations of the HR profession through post-secondary. And then from there, I worked in corporate HR and operations for about 15 years. And since then, I've been running my own consulting firm, Mindful HR Services. And I try and blend these interesting worlds, Christine. You mentioned just a little bit at the beginning there. So traditional HR practices, 100%, I offer those services. But I also bring in my yogic and meditation philosophies into my work. And sometimes I like to joke, it's a little bit like putting spinach in the lasagna, where the kids don't know that they're eating vegetables. And so I weave mindfulness into the work that way. And other times it's very structured. We're going to, attend this session led by Michelle, and it's part of an employee wellness program.
That's wonderful. You're sharing how you practice mindfulness and also do nature, right? Nature is,
Mm.
oh, when you think about it, gives you inspiration, creativity.
So much, so much. It is 100% an outlet for me. Getting out into nature is definitely a way of just getting out of my head, connecting with Mother Earth, so to speak, and listening to the trees, the sounds of nature, the birds, all of it.
Yes, and your dog too, right?
My dog. Did I tell you what my dog's name is, Christine?
No, please let
It's
us know.
it's Chickpea. It's Chickpea.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
And how did you come up with chickpea, if I may ask?
Well, it was really a joke. A few years ago on LinkedIn, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. One of my colleagues, there was some sort of post about tell me something about yourself that's not work related, something like this. And I decided to share that, well, I'm not a dog owner at this time. When we get a dog, her name is going to be Chickpea. Didn't really think too much of it. And then almost a year ago in February, coming up to a year, we adopted a dog through Forever Freed. It's a Lower Mainland rescue, if anyone's familiar with it. They do some really excellent work. And this little dog came all the way from Korea. And at the time, you're preparing for this animal to come into your life. And we were talking about dog names. My husband kept on saying, well, it's got to be Chickpea. I'm like, no, that's too silly. I'm like, so I was trying to convince him on other names. Ultimately, we stuck with Chickpea, and everyone absolutely loves this name. It's unique. I've never met another Chickpea.
That's wonderful. And I love what you do, like what you say, I should say. You can practice mindfulness any place, anywhere, anytime. I never thought of that. So the viewers and listeners, like that is so wonderful. I never thought of that. So you can do that.
Absolutely. We live in a place, I know, Christine, you're downtown Vancouver. It is a really busy place. And sometimes you get stuck in traffic, right? It can take you, 45 minutes to go 5 kilometers. And that is a great place to just sit, notice your hands on the steering wheel, notice what's in front of you, maybe tune in to the sound of the music, maybe bring some breath work into the music that you're listening to. Really, anytime, anywhere, any place. Even right now, Christine, if you place your feet flat beneath you, that is one simple way of being mindful with your body.
Yeah, so that's just wonderful. That's a great tip, and I'm going to start doing that. So thank you. So how do you implement mindfulness in like remotely, virtually, in person? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a variety of strategies. So let me share a couple of examples. So for remote workers, you really need to be intentional and leverage technology. If technology doesn't work, no one's, it's like any other meeting. If you can't hear, if you can't see, if people are distracted, you got to leverage technology. One of the great ways in tools like Zoom, for example, there's polling questions, or Slido is a favorite of mine. Slido and Mentimeter, those are a couple of tools where you're actually leveraging your phone. You're getting people to check in on your phone. So it's really important to keep people engaged and really focused on whatever it is that you're doing. And in those mindfulness sessions that I deliver remotely, it's really it moves fast, even though we might be doing something slow. There's a bit of a nuance there. It's really about keeping folks engaged. So that's about remote workers. For in-person deliveries, you got to work the room. I know you're very familiar with this, Christine, in your line of work. Watch body language. So I may have a really scripted program laid out, and I'm noticing that people are lethargic. So I'm going to get people on their feet. You can be mindful. You can meditate standing. That is a true fact. Maybe we need to go for a mindful walk, even in the room. Like if the weather's really bad outside, you can still do something inside. So watching body language. So that's an example for in person. And one of my favorite things to do, and it's going to sound a bit counterintuitive to mindfulness, is leveraging music. I said it just a moment ago, but you may be familiar with the song, Christine. It's called Unstoppable by Sia, and it's an earworm, but it's got a great beat to it, and it's fast, and you can really bring focus to your breath, to the sound of the beat. So those are some of the ways that I encourage folks to be mindful in hybrid, in person, and for remote.
Yeah, so you practice your breathing, right? The music, and then you do it again, and then. But yes, if I may say, you're like a music therapist. You have to be able to know the tunes, and that's a great song, and it gets you up. And so it's like it's never too late to start to practice mindfulness. It helps in everything that you do, whether professionally and personally.
Absolutely. I just want to say a little bit about that is we live in a really fast, busy place environment. And I don't know if I shared this with you, Christine, that part of my ethnic lineage is Indigenous. So I've got Métis and Cree as part of my family history. And, connecting to self, connecting to nature, connecting to something beyond you can be really helpful to ground when you are in times of high stress, right? Finding that place that you can go to. Sometimes I also call it my happy place. So where's your happy place? And as often as you can, go there.
That's just wonderful. And people who are listening, watching, I say that again and repeat. But if they want to reach out to you, where can they go, Michelle?
Few places for sure. I know social media is a big part of our life these days. I've got a lighter side of me on Instagram. It's just simply my name, at Michelle Precourt. I've got an active LinkedIn profile, so you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And once a month, I publish a newsletter. It's just once a month because, frankly, it's a lot of work on our end, and we don't want to fill up your inbox with stuff that you don't need or want. But if you're curious to stay in touch, what I like to say, it's also a way to kind of see what's happening behind the scenes without actually saying, hey, Michelle, I want to connect. So mindfulnesshrservices.ca is a way to connect with me that way too.
Yes, Michelle, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share what I do.
Yes, it's wonderful. And I like you to come back because I think there's more to mindfulness, right? So,
It's deep. It's pretty deep, Christine, but this shouldn't scare people off. Really, if one simple thing, the next time you take a sip of water, just take a sip of water and notice that. That's being mindful.
tip. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your time today.
Thank you, Christine.